Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Major Winter Storm Jacob. This is once again another named winter storm here. This one's going to be moving all the way from the northwestern United States down into California, then into some of the central United States and even the northeastern United States. So from coast to coast, this one's going to be affecting us. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family as well if they do live in the impacted regions. Let's get right into things. First things first, we're going to take a look at our current hazards, and this is usually very telling of what your county could be expecting as far as imminent conditions. So particularly here for the Northwest and California, even a little bit in Nevada there, where I've spotted a blizzard warning. It's very, very tiny, but you can see a little tiny, very orange area there right on the border of California, and that's actually a blizzard warning there, so blizzard conditions are expected for some of those areas. But we definitely have a lot of winter storm warnings for up to 2 feet of snow for California, Washington, Oregon. It's going to be a big one out there. Very, very stormy. Now, we also have winter weather advisories there for Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then even the northeastern United States. And this is actually for a different system that we're going to talk a little bit about as well. And this is going to be a little bit of a tiny clipper system that's going to move in from Minnesota and then over the Great Lakes and then through into the northeastern United States. The Northeast, you could get 6 to 10 inches of snow from this one, so it's not going to be minor necessarily for some areas. I think 6 to 10 is what I would consider a pretty moderate snowstorm myself. So, yeah, we could have some moderate conditions there, and that's what we're about to talk about. So we're about to take a look at kind of your total snowfall for that system, take a look at how much snowfall you could expect in the central United States and the northeastern United States with that first little system, and then we're going to get into our much bigger system, which is Winter Storm Jacob. Now, the reason I wanted to go ahead and cover this one is because I'm pretty sure I've covered every single eastern United States snowstorm so far this season. There's a lot less of them than western storms, so it's easier to do, but I didn't want to break my record like that. We're going to have a general 1 to 2 inches of snow from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and in through Michigan, maybe hitting 3 inches in a couple areas there, but really a lighter snowstorm. After it moves out over the lakes, however, we could see in some of those purple areas 3 to 6 inches of snow, and even some pinks there for the Adirondacks, Vermont, a little bit of Maine maybe as well. That's where we're looking at maybe 6 to 8 inches of snow, maybe a bit more for some of those higher elevation areas. So kind of a moderate little quick clipper for northern New England. Not a huge deal, but I did want to go ahead and cover that just so you guys knew that that system was coming up. Now, let's start talking about our main system here for Winter Storm Jacob. Now, we're going to have a low pressure system moving onshore to the northwestern United States, and that's what we're looking at here. This is going to be about tomorrow, maybe tonight by about 10 p.m. I have to take into account Western time here. So Northern California, Oregon, and Washington getting snow by this point. And you can see our major low pressure system there offshore. And that's going to bring a ton of heavy snow to these areas. And eventually some of those bands that are offshore of California are going to move onshore and be bringing snow to the mountainous regions of California and Nevada. And that's what we're about to show in the next frame. So let's get right into that. As you can see here, the snow, this is by the way, this is maybe Thursday evening time. I would say this is Thursday, January 16th evening time, which is going to be tomorrow from the time I'm making this video. We see the snow is kind of winded down there for Washington and Oregon. There's still some snow in some areas, but really the most of the snow has moved in to California, particularly those mountainous regions, like I said, where we are seeing those deep blue colors indicating very heavy snow. But again, nothing these people are not used to out there. Very, very common occurrence there for the mountains of California. We see it all the time, but definitely a major system in general. Now, we also have something developing there for the Four Corner States, Texas, Oklahoma, some pinks, blues, purples. We're going to keep an eye on that because that's going to be kind of the second phase of this storm. This is a very interesting storm. It's kind of going to cycle and redevelop. Very, very interesting situation here. But we see for the most part, most of our system is there over California and Oregon, but it's eventually going to be mostly over the central United States, head up into the Midwest, Great Lakes, and then back down into the northeastern United States. You can see our clipper system moving out there, actually, if you take a look offshore of New England as well. That's the system I was talking about earlier in the video. Just wanted to mention that there. Very strong system, actually. Had a lot of potential. It just moves out very quickly and doesn't bring a lot of snow because of that. Now, we're about to start talking more about the Rockies and then more about the Midwest as this storm is going to kind of move away from California. It's going to be interesting to see this one, again, kind of hit that second phase of its life. All right, so here we're taking a look. We still have some snow showers there for Washington and Oregon even, but still some snow showers for California, Nevada, but really the Rockies getting the brunt of it by this point. Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, maybe even a little bit of New Mexico as well. Definitely seeing some moderate to heavy snow there for the Rockies, but this is the beginning of our kind of next phase. Like I said, it's kind of transitioning over, and we see a lot of that pink, purple, and blue there for Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska, and that's going to make its way again into the Midwest and Great Lakes states, and then eventually the Northeast. So let's take a look at another frame. This is by Friday morning, by the way, January 17th. Let's move on towards that evening, and you can see the Rockies were winding down now. Now there's about showers in the Rockies, but you can see our main system is now definitely located over the Midwest. We have pinks and purples there for Missouri, Illinois, southern Illinois, that is, portions of Iowa, but blue for Minnesota, Wisconsin, other portions of Iowa, and then northern Illinois there. Definitely seeing some moderate snow in some areas. Now, the interesting thing as we go forward with this system, and you're going to notice this, is it goes from snow to rain in a lot of areas. You get moderate snow and then a bit of rain afterwards. And this is what's going to make it incredibly difficult to forecast accurate snowfall totals for this storm. I expect to be doing that later on in a future update for this storm, but it is going to be extremely difficult to take into account that rain that's falling afterwards and seeing how much is going to melt from that. So just keep that in mind. But again, this was Friday evening. Let's move on towards Saturday morning, January 18th, and you can see a ton of snow for Minnesota, and then maybe even back-end snow there for Iowa and Missouri areas that were getting rain, now getting snow, and that's just a whole other aspect of the storm as well. Some front-end snow and back-end snow with rain in between. That spells a very, very tricky situation as far as forecasting snowfall totals. We can see the Dakotas getting snowfall by this point, but particularly the Great Lakes especially, and we see a 998 millibar low pressure system. Very, very intense here. And again, that's by Saturday morning, January 18th. Let's move towards that evening, and we can see it's really moved up into Canada. We see the Great Lakes getting some snow showers by this point, but it's kind of wrapped up. And then we see the Northeast starting to get some of that front-end snow, moderate to heavy actually. Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, portions of New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, even northern New England like the Adirondacks, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, areas that just got snow from our Clipper system. But if you're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, southern New England, it's about to switch over to rain. Let's move on to our next frame, and we can see, actually I skip over where it shows rain. I didn't take that frame, I probably should have, but it definitely rains after the snow, and that's really going to be another difficult area to forecast because of the fact that we're going to see a lot, maybe a little bit of snow to maybe even a lot of snowfall and then rain. And the amount of rain and the amount of snow is really going to determine how much snowfall we get. And that's a very tricky thing to forecast, like I've stated a few times here. But this is by Sunday morning, January 19th, and we see some snow showers for New England. But by the time we get to the afternoon there on Sunday, January 19th, it's all said and done. Now, we're about to start talking about your total snowfall on some of these models. Take a good look at how much snow you could expect in your area from this storm. All right, so we're first off looking at the west. I'm going to cut this in half because, again, there is two halves to the storm, basically. Starting out with our mountainous regions of the very, very western United States, we see some of those green colors. And that's where we're expecting 12 to 24 inches of snow. Even some of those blues and whites, that's where we're at 24 to 48 inches of snow. So portions of the mountainous regions of Oregon, California, Washington, all of these areas potentially having some areas reach 24 inches or more. In the pinks, that's where we're looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow. Purples, 3 to 6 inches of snow. And then in your blues, that's where we're at about 1 to 3 inches of snow. So you can tell where you're at. You can find where you're at and then see how much snow you're expecting there. Let's switch over to the eastern half, though, and it's a lot more widespread and easier to see how much snow you're expecting here. In the pinks on this model, we see, again, 6 to 12 inches of snow. And then for some areas in New York, Vermont, we're seeing maybe even 12 to 24 inches of snow. Again, blues, though, that's where you're at about 1 to 3 inches of snow. Purples, you're at about 3 to 6 inches of snow. But we see widespread pinks and then some greens in there. Let's take a look at your Canadian model. Just take a look at this. You can find your area, see what's different, but I think it looks very similar. And then even here's your European model as well. I just wanted to show this because it does have some differences. On the European model, I gotta say, because the bar isn't on the screen here, in your blue colors, you're at 2 to 6 inches of snow. Gray is anything under 2 inches. Purple, you're at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. Pink, you're at maybe 10 to 16 inches of snow. And then in your kind of turquoise colors there, we see some of that for Washington, Oregon, and California. That's where we're at about 24 to 36 inches of snow. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to share it with your friends and family if they do live in the impacted regions like I said before. And I'll hope to see you guys in the next video.